Hi everyone, I'm Dr. April Jasper and I'm here with Dr. Nate Lighthizer and we are at Vision Expo West. But more specifically, we are at the Reichert booth and it is F9043, so if you want to come visit, go right ahead. But what we're excited about today is we get to talk to you about corneal hysteresis. So before we get started, I'd love for Nate to tell you a little bit about himself. He's the perfect person to be here today and walking through this with us because of not only your experience and knowledge about it, Nate, but you're a great speaker. So tell us about corneal hysteresis, but first about you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the kind introduction, your kind words, April. Nate Lighthizer, I'm an optometrist and faculty member at the Oklahoma College of Optometry in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. I've been there for about 12 years. It's where I did my residency, and I serve as the chief of our specialty care clinics, where we do all of our specialty care like glaucoma, lid lumps and bumps, laser procedures. So I have quite extensive experience with the ocular response analysis.
That's perfect because we really want to talk about what corneal hysteresis is. So let's start there. First, what is corneal hysteresis?
Yeah, so I explain to my patients that think of corneal hysteresis as the shock absorbing properties of the eye. How well can your eye absorb and dissipate energy? Our eye is under a constant barrage of stressors. IOP, intraocular pressure, intracranial pressure, the ocular pulse, and just like your shocks in the car, their job is to protect the rest of the car, the passengers. The shock absorber of the eye, corneal hysteresis, is meant to nerve the rest of the eye from the constant stressors that go at it every single day. So if you have good shock absorbers, you have high hysteresis, and that's a good thing, which we'll talk about in just a second.
And we do want to get to a number, so we will in a moment. But let's start by talking again a little more about how do you actually incorporate corneal hysteresis into not just your glaucoma decision making, but also the workflow.
Yeah, so that's what makes it very nice when you get multiple readings in a single device. You can get an IOPG, which is your Goldman equivalent. We're all very familiar with Goldman in glaucoma. It's what we're comfortable with, correct?
Right,
so it gives you a Goldman equivalent. But more importantly, in my mind, it gives you what's called an IOPCC. We know when we take a pressure, it's one number for two things. It's really your IOP, but there's also corneal influences there. So IOPCC is a corneal compensated IOP. It's a pressure reading that's less influenced by corneal factors. So it overall agrees with Goldman on a widespread basis. If you get 100, 200, 300 patients, but on a patient-by-patient basis, it's less influenced by corneal factors. So you get the Goldman, you get IOPCC, then you get corneal hysteresis, which is a measure, again, of the shock-absorbing properties of the eye, and it helps to guide us as what's the likelihood of risk progression in this glaucoma patient.
So now workflow. Who has this measurement taken?
Yep. So I'm at a school, so obviously our students and residents serve as our technicians. And it's nice that when I, as the doctor, your practice is going to be your staff, but they're going to handle this. They're going to take the patient back. It's part of the pre-testing. It's an air jet tonometry, air puff tonometry that gives you multiple readings. So when I walk in the room, I've got a Goldman already measured, I've got an IOPCC measured, and corneal hysteresis, and it's all objective. The machine is not having a bad day versus maybe our technicians. They put too much fluorescein, not enough. Goldman is truly subjective, so to have objective readings quickly really enhances the flow.
So then what do you do with that measurement? You've taken the measurement, now you have all those values. How do you use those to actually make decisions about that patient?
Yeah, so in our glaucoma patients, we're all trying to figure out who am I going to be more worried about and who am I going to be less worried about? Who do I need to follow more closely, maybe more exams, increase testing frequency, add a drop, do a laser? To have corneal hysteresis, it gives us information that says if your hysteresis is in the 8s or the 7s, they're more likely to progress over the years. And if your hysteresis is in the normal levels, which is in the 10s and above, now I'm feeling good that they're much less likely to progress in our glaucoma patients. In glaucoma suspects, it also gives us information on who is more likely to develop glaucoma over time. So it's another piece of data to help me predict who do I need to treat down the road and who can I just watch.
So we talked about the three measurements. We have corneal hysteresis, we have IOP, CC, and the third measurement?
IOPG, Goldman equivalent.
Okay, so now which patients are you running, just one more time, help us to understand workflow, which patients are you running all three on?
Sure. So a new glaucoma suspect, if they're coming in, if they're referred to me for a glaucoma evaluation, absolutely we're getting all three readings.
Okay.
If down the road, if they've been treated for glaucoma and they're stable, I may skip a visit or two, but if anything changes, if it looks like they're progressing, if the IOP has changed, then I'm going to want those readings again so I can see what's the Goldman equivalent, what's the corneal compensated pressure, and where's that corneal hysteresis, because it's behavior. It's not static. It can change with therapy.
Wow. Okay, so then I can see how this makes sense to have in the clinic at the university, but how about my clinic? I mean, I have one and I love it, but what about other doctors that are here at the show and they're looking at technology? Who is someone that really could benefit from having corneal hysteresis measurements taken on their patients in their practice?
I think any doctor that is seeing glaucoma patients, we're treating glaucoma, we're managing, we may send some patients out, but if you're seeing glaucoma patients in your practice, to me it is ideal to have the next generation, the latest and greatest of how we measure IOP. Again, I don't want an IOP that's influenced by all this cornea junk.
Right.
I want a Goldman pressure, I want a corneal compensated, I want corneal hysteresis. So if you're seeing any glaucoma patients at all, it's going to enhance your outflow and it's going to enhance your decision making.
All right. Well, we're standing right in front of a poster that I think might have something we should talk about on it. I'll let Nate explain what it is.
So this really drives home the 2 points. Studies by Medeiros that looked at the bottom graph is we've got glaucoma patients that are treated and who is more likely to progress and who is less likely to progress. And you can see we've got intraocular pressure, we've got corneal hysteresis, and the take-home point is if your patient has a low corneal hysteresis and a high pressure, you can see their degree of visual field loss per year. It's at high risk. They can lose significant visual field year after year after year versus the patient that has a high hysteresis and a low pressure. You can see they're at the zeros. They're unlikely to progress based on this study by Medeiros. Again, this was progression in diagnosed glaucoma patients. The one up here is the glaucoma suspects, helping you with the utility of who's more likely to develop glaucoma, who's less likely to develop glaucoma. And again, it showed those patients with higher than average hysteresis, they're less likely to develop glaucoma. Low hysteresis, that's a major risk factor for developing glaucoma.
Wow. I think those are both really important things to understand. And that's really, for me, why I've had this technology in my practice for several years. So as we close out, Nate, what final words would you give to our viewers today? Anything we left out that you think is important to remember about corneal hysteresis?
I think knowledge is power. We have no perfect test in glaucoma, whether it's OCT, visual field. Having all of this information and having really 3 quality readings, a Goldman reading, a true corneal compensated IOP, and corneal hysteresis is going to give you power to who's more likely to progress, who's less likely, and is this glaucoma suspect more likely to develop glaucoma and who's not. So lots of information.
Thank you so much. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you to our viewers as well. We appreciate you listening and learning with us more about corneal hysteresis. So don't forget, come by the Reichert booth. It is F9043. And enjoy your time here at Vision Expo West.